Hi, friends. This is an episode I am calling Love Bombing, and it is really what it is. What does it look like when it's happening? Um, why is it happening? This is for one person in particular, but I really thought it would be helpful for people who have fallen for a person who immediately disposed of them or completely did a 180 after you thought you were fully in love and connected and it felt like perfect. So that's usually the situation that happens if you've been love bombed. So, what is love bombing? It's kind of a term that's used to describe the initial phase of a relationship when somebody is trying to seal the deal. So, like, they flood you with affection, they say all the things you want to hear, they treat you like you have dreamed of being treated, they make you feel seen, adored, respected, loved. And a lot of people ask me, well, what happened to that person? Was that person not real? It was, it felt so real. We felt so connected. We got along so well. We had all of these things in common. And the answer is it was real for you in your personal experience, which has a lot of value. And it's important to be able to hold on to that. However, the person who enacted this set of traits was not portraying their true self. They were portraying a character that was kind of cast specifically for you. And a person like this is not the same. They're very complicated and they're not built the same way. And they really are attracted to a different thing in their life, which is kind of collecting fans. Like they collect people who adore them. They really feel rewarded by the feeling of utter control and also the chemical high that is brought by that feeling of being adored and being able to control somebody. So I like summarize it for people as think of it as a person with a different kind of brain, but it's really hard to accept all of that. It's a really difficult and painful experience to go through because you lived a dream and then the dream goes away and you can't really, your brain just can't process where did it go? I felt it, it was real. That can't be gone. But who is the person? Where is the reality? So your brain is like searching for grounding and probably reeling from the loss. So, with that, there are three parts in this episode: the what, the why, and the how, the tools. And this will be part one, the what. If you are on the receiving end of love bombing, it simply feels like the best match you have ever found. Like you feel fully seen, fully appreciated, fully desired, and the person is likely telling you everything you've ever wanted to hear. It's intoxicating. It feels like you are bonded at the soul, and it happens fast. And you might be swept off your feet in a matter of days, in a matter of weeks, and the person likely courted you like a prize. So for a lot of people, it's really intense and it's really overwhelming and it floods you with a feeling of joy, excitement. All of those good love chemicals just flood you. And so what does this mean? What does that mean? How can that be untrue if it feels so good, if it feels so real? Well, I think if you think about, if you take apart that experience, the person who is love bombing you wants to connect to you quickly and connect to you hard. So it's like this manufacturing of instant chemicals. It's kind of like that in itself is their art form, is manufacturing those chemicals in another person. So if you were love bombed, I'm guessing you know that you were love bombed because the relationship took off with intensity and then it ended up with something that was completely a 180. Maybe you were totally crushed emotionally. Maybe you suddenly found out that the person was living a totally different life. Or maybe that person did a complete turn where they disparaged you, made you feel terrible about yourself, and then also had no awareness of your feelings or no care about your feelings at all. And so that was kind of a complete, those two people don't match. Those two versions of a person don't match. So when a person sweeps you off your feet and they make you feel so special, so seen, and so intoxicated with their affection, and then they reveal that they have no awareness or care about your feelings. Like they can literally not see or register things that would be logical to another person or obvious. They seem obvious to you. Like you might have found yourself saying like, can't they see how hurtful this is? Like you might have been in a position where you were constantly defending and re-explaining your feelings of maybe you were offended or you were hurt or you felt you weren't considered in a situation. Like, for example, I had to leave to take care of my dying parent, and then that person berated me. Like, those are the types of things that are complete 180s, and they don't make sense because the original image of the person is someone who has made promises of love, devotion, commitment. I want to have a family with whatever the promise was. It was so grandiose and so intoxicating, so that this other reality sets in, and you're like, but what? That cruel person is not the same as the first person. And or maybe you learn that they have multiple partners and that this is a pattern for them. Part two, the why. Well, a pretty common reason is that I'm guessing that this is probably the reason that this has happened. The person is a serial dater with narcissistic traits. And a lot of people say like, well, isn't that term narcissist overused? Probably, but it turns out there are a lot of manipulative narcissists in certain dating pools. So, people who are single later on in life or people who are wealthy and successful, turns out a lot of those traits also lend themselves to being really effective in business. Like, if you're efficient, if you're powerful, if you're smooth talking, if you're aggressive, you can probably be pretty good at any business environment. So for a lot of victims, it's really the hardest thing is to swallow the truth because you lived a different reality with through an emotional experience of a person. And so I get asked a lot like, but didn't they feel it too? Like how could that have been a lie? They were fully there with me. They were fully invested with me. So if you're curious what it means to them, I get that. And the way I explain it to clients is I say it's like it's a different form of gratification than you experience. Like people who love bomb are really in it because they love that ego gratification. That's their greatest get off is collecting adoring fans. They love to have utter devotion and control over a person, and they love that feeling of control. It's a reflection of them. Everything they experience is a reflection of them. And they might be, truly all of these great things, like personality wise, they might be talented, they might be smart, they might be interesting, they might be funny. But this one trait about them is the most important because they're not capable of seeing you and truly feeling your feelings. Like the compassion piece is missing. So when a compassion piece is missing from somebody, it's not something you can grow later on. Like maybe if you experienced it or you tried to work on that very early in your adolescence, that would be a time where that could change. But if this is an adult, like that is who they are. And when they love bomb, they want a means to control another person and have them fully mirror back to them adoration. And that's what makes them feel gratified and high. They want you to be obsessed with them and 100% falling for them. And that is their equivalent for love. They're not driven by the same things or looking for the same things that you are. And in that interaction, what they're doing is portraying what you are looking for. Like that is their kind of greatest talent is creating a dream image. It's kind of an art form, is to really sell this ideal flawlessly and press all of the buttons perfectly. And so that ideal that they portray will be slightly different depending on their target. You know, they might find the one thing about you that is a signal to an identity that you really, really crave. Like if you're a person that's like wants a family, they might use that as a thing like, oh my God, you're going to be such a great parent. Oh, you're going to be so good at that. Like that's something that is like a skill, you know? And so you will find that people who love bomb are complimenting the shit out of you as a means to gain access to your trust and your deepest truths, your deepest voids, your deepest cravings. So you'll feel flooded with validation, and then in turn, you'll flood them with adoration. And so it's it sounds like, you know, you're witnessing pure evil, but it's just a different kind of brain. It's a different kind of brain. I was talking to a narcissist many years ago, and I was asking how they manipulate people, and they said it's so easy. You find one thing about a person and you focus on that and you tell them all the things about that thing that would complement them, and you can find their insecurity and validate that insecurity, and then they feel so flattered and so seen and appreciated and loved. And it's kind of like a person being played like an accordion. You know, you're making this like symphony of chemicals by pressing all these buttons. So where do you go from here? If this has happened to you, it is 100% devastating. I feel so bad for you having gone through this because it's so painful. It's like you're lifted up in the clouds and then smashed onto the ground. It's heartbreaking. But it's really important that you gather all of your lessons from this experience and learn them concretely. Like, do not repeat this again, and do not talk yourself out of really internalizing what this has taught you. Like, I think there's this general instinct to say, oh no, but I won't be able to trust people again. And I'm like, it's important not to trust people until they have proven they are trustworthy. So that is the gift. It's not a bad thing, it's just truthful. We have to really have a good compass in our gut at all times and live from that position. It doesn't mean that love isn't great and fun. It's the same as it would have been otherwise, but we're no longer losing ourselves and coming out of the seat of ourselves to dive into somebody else. It's a different way of navigating love and dating. So, with that, here's part three, the how, the tools. But first, a brief word from our sponsors. Tools. The first tool, boundaries are loving. A lot of us feel bad for having really firm boundaries with others. Like we feel like it's somehow mean or closed off or judgmental, but their boundaries are actually what allow others to witness our value and respect us. And they also keep us safe, and they keep us from hurting ourselves, violating ourselves, allowing others to violate us. So, in this case, if a person has not earned your trust, they are not allowed to assume a role in your life that is one that must be earned with trust. That is something that has to be earned over a very long period of time. You know, so if a person wants to act like family or wants to show up in your life in all areas instantly, that is a boundary red flag. That's too fast, too soon. That's not demonstrating that they haven't demonstrated they get access yet. That's not, we can't just skip that part. They also must demonstrate that they are actually capable of being in a healthy, committed relationship if you want commitment. I mean, some people don't want commitment, but if you want a committed relationship, a person has to demonstrate they are capable of that. They can't just say they want it. You have to witness that their actions also affirm, and their personality trait affirms they are capable of that. So I want to take apart what that looks like, because a person who is capable of a committed, healthy relationship, long-term relationship, has also learned how to be in a relationship. They have emotional depth. They have likely done some work on themselves, or they're open to seeing themselves. They're open to receiving criticism. They're likely in a state of growth or have been in a state of growth. They're also likely a complicated three-dimensional person. They're not a flat 2D idealistic image of a person. So I'm asking you to be really honest with yourself about who the other person is and if you see them truly. Like, are they portraying a character in a movie that's just all the bells and all the whistles? Or are they just as tentative? Are they just as shy about bringing certain difficult things up? Or are they very respectful and witnessing where you stand and responding directly to that? Are they a partner who can work things through with you and have deep, difficult conversations? Or are they an ideal? It's it's a difficult thing to conceptualize when you're in that chemical bath stage. Like if you have those love gushes, they really make us just want to run in and dive into another person, but we always have to keep one foot fully seated in ourselves as a separate individual. And by that I mean we have to constantly assess reality as soon as our hopes get up or your worries come in, as soon as your hopes say, like, oh my God, maybe this is the perfect thing I've always wanted. So as soon as I have a thought like that and I can feel myself leaving the ground, being seated in the self, oh my God, maybe this is going to be everything I've ever wanted. That's a sign. It's like there'll be a little twinkle of recognition in my head. And that is when I go through a visualization exercise, which is the next tool, which I've put in multiple episodes. It's so helpful though. The tool is accept both outcomes. As soon as you want to leave reality, as soon as you have that like either dream of like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing, or oh my God, what if this goes away? I think it'll be too devastating. As soon as you have either of those kind of like fear based or grasping based, I'm going to deceive myself triggers, go through the visualization of accepting both outcomes. And by that, I mean mentally welcome the fact that this could be great or it could be not great. It could be all an illusion. And just process that. Welcome it, fully digest that truth in your body. Know that you will survive it and that both things are possible. Really, really like hug that information. And that is how we're constantly reminding ourselves to stay grounded in reality. I think it's so like attractive to want to just lose ourselves and lose reality, but that all that does is make you decide to stop checking in with what's happening, what cues am I being shown? It's like when we stop listening to our nudges, we just get further and further into a rabbit hole of not seeing what is. And what is the only thing that's important. We always want to stay in reality. Next tool, I don't know if I should call this a mantra, but I just think it's like something to remind yourself of. You don't really see someone until around 1.5 years. We have a projection that is so powerful onto another person. We see what we want to see and what we expect to see until around the 1.5 year mark. And that is when we start to recognize the difference between those two things. That's why a lot of breakups happen around 1.5 years, because people are like, wait, you're not doing the thing that you're supposed to do. And that's just us recognizing the truth of who a person is versus our projection. So if you are a person who is serious about finding a good relationship, just remember to keep your eyes open and witness reality as it is revealed to you, and just don't stop assessing. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy a relationship, but I think whenever we think to ourselves, oh, I'm ruining the relationship by not giving all of my trust, that is not true. That is not accurate. We just have to stay. It's not about saying, I don't trust this person. It's about saying, I am open to witnessing all that is. I welcome understanding all that is true. That's it. All right, the next tool, energy signal check. I think when we draw people into our lives like this, it's because some part of us is questioning if we are of value. And if that rings any tiny faint bell in your consciousness, I want you to just write it down as a goal on your path to really heal any areas of self ambivalence and just to witness them and get to the root of where they are from. They're like these little pebbles from our past that we can't really put our finger on what they say or what year they were from, but we have like a sense of, well, but I'm damaged goods. I can't ask for another person to be perfect. So if that has any resonance for you energetically, let's just sort it out. What's the feeling? What does it say? What age is it from? And can you understand why that kid thought that thing? It's like really just bring air and light to that area so that we can just eradicate it. We can like let it scar over finally. Oftentimes, if we don't do that investigation, it's just this kind of lingering feeling of void that makes us hesitant to ask for the best, hesitant to ask for 100% in, 100% for me. So we feel like we shouldn't possibly threaten the source of adoration because we're like, but who am I to ask for this? Like, so it's really important to notice if there's anything inside that's feeling like that. All right, the next tool, mini deaths. A mini death is how we avoid the gut punch of reality setting in all at once. And I think that the easiest way to move through life is by just allowing ourselves to process the truth as it happens. Like, it's very easy to want to lose yourself in the feeling of being seen and adored, but we also have to ensure that we are able to know the person and that they have demonstrated to us over time that they are trustworthy. So if you are a person who wants a partner who is capable of being in a committed, loving relationship, your number one goal is just to accept the truth as it is shown to you. Like, don't deny any red flags or mistrust your gut. So if something shows up that's inconvenient, allow it to permeate your being. And I think of it as just like a mini death. Like, oh, this might mean they're a liar. This might mean that this is not my person. It hurts in the moment, but as soon as you can confront that, welcome it, now we're still in reality. Now we're still on the path toward heading toward what we truly want versus in denial of like, I don't want to think that though. I don't want to ruin this. Like that is when we start to deny reality. All right, the next tool, too good to be true or alarm bells. There will be a moment in time when reality starts to feel unrealistic. Like there will be this cue where you think, this is too good to be true. As soon as you have that thought, recognize it probably is. Anytime you have that thought, it probably is. Watch the twinkles in your gut. It's not a bad thing. It just is. We want to welcome it in and recognize it for what it is so that we can still be in reality. It's like we're watching the show. The show is still playing out. We don't know the ending yet. So if you ever have that question mark in your head where you're like, is this true? Could this be true? Take note. And I don't mean you need to like unearth it in the moment, but just write it down in your journal. You don't have to act on it right then, but remember it, recognize it, acknowledge it, because your body often knows the difference between authentic and not. And we, in our brain, talk ourselves out of it, but your body knows. So if something is like, what? Could this? Probably not. Probably not. Recognize it, hold on to it. All right, the next tool, I've put this in many episodes. I love this metaphor. My old therapist gave this to me. The big red assessment hat, or never stop assessing. I like to describe us as always wearing a giant red hat that says assessment hat, and we're wearing it forever. We're wearing it, and by that I mean your job is to take note of what is happening and what is displayed in front of you. It's not to interpret their thoughts, to try and read their implied expectations or their expression. It's like as soon as you leave your own body and go into their head, you're in a dream world, you're in a fiction, it's not reality. So just stay in your body. You're wearing your big red assessment hat. You're just observing what they are doing, what their actions tell you about who they are. Are their actions aligned with their words, for example? A person will often tell us everything we need to know on the first date. So just observe them, take notes of what is happening, and if they do something that gives you that hint of they're not in, they're not fully capable or in alignment, just take note. Keep taking notes. And your notes will be often pros and cons will stay pretty neck and neck, but it's just really good to be always keeping tabs on reality, you know? Like we're never not assessing our situation for truth and love and authenticity. All right, and the next tool, make love to the truth. The truth is your friend. It's not to be avoided, even though it sometimes feels like it's bad. It's not bad, but it what it does is it allows you to take yourself out of an equation that is not rewarding to you truly. Like it helps us to stay in reality and move through changes as they need to be moved through. Versus if we just want to hope and just live in this dream of hope, we plug our ears, and that is when we get off course for often a year or more, and then we get into this loop of being unable to escape this denial. So it's really when you can stay aligned with the truth at all times, what it does is it means you make a direct path to the thing that actually does reward you because you are setting a bar that accepts only that, nothing less. So we end up getting out of things that are not right when we need to and when we should, and the first time we are shown proof of that thing. All right, the next tool, write the love list or the values list. I often ask my clients to do this. If you are dating, you absolutely should go through this exercise. Basically, write down everything that you are looking for in another person and don't skimp on the values because those are the most important. So, things like is trustworthy, is aligned in actions and words, demonstrates they are capable of being in a committed, loving relationship, respects my boundary and my bodies, is receptive to my feelings, can be respectful of my feelings, acknowledges and can see my feelings. Just be really clear in your own mind's eye about what it takes to be in a good relationship for you in particular. And that is more just so you know what it looks like. I think if we're not intentional in these things, what happens is we're guided by reaction. Our life path is guided by a reaction to somebody outside of us. So we'll often find a person likes us and we're like, really, me? Okay. Okay. Yeah, why not? Like, that is not a conscious choice. It's being guided by circumstance. So I want you to be intentional and clear with yourself about what you truly want. And if you find you're having difficulty even writing that list, start by borrowing somebody else's list and put the things that you know are important for just a healthy and not harmful person. Like that's a great place to start is will not destroy me, will not hurt me, willingly hurt me, has an awareness of my feelings. Like those are just the basic human respect. That's it. Basic human respect. Start there. All right, next tool, shopping for the golden washer. I This is a crude metaphor, but I think of shopping for a partner in a similar way to looking for a really special golden washer. If you have like specific specs in your house that this unit has to fit into, and it needs to have this type of power hookup and it has to have these features, those are finite pieces of information. So like make that list, and then you're just in a process of shopping for it at a specific price point. Finding a partner is kind of similar in that you have a set of things that you require for your person to thrive. And then once you are aware of those things and you respect that those are true, you're literally just sorting. You're sorting people. You're going through the experience of vetting people. And it's just, I know people don't like this term, but in my opinion, a lot of it is a numbers game. If we're not in the if we're getting constantly sidetracked by people who are not that thing, it will suck up many years of life and also we'll have to learn hard lessons. So in some ways that's good because when you go through a painful experience, you collect another piece of information, you collect another puzzle piece of yourself, of insight into what you need to protect in yourself. So nothing is lost if you've gone through this, but just keep in mind, like, you need that list and just stick to that list. All right, next tool, energy role model. I um I like to think of a a person that I admire in their energy and how they covet themselves and how they respect themselves and how they protect their affections as a means to triangulate to that in myself. And so if you are a person who struggles with bad boundaries and you want to get closer to being a boundaried person, think of another person in your life who has a sense of comfort, confidence, and grace. And then just literally try and in your mind's eye embody that, mimic that. Picture how they navigate in social situations. Are they seated in themselves? How do they respect their own boundaries when it comes to people asking things of them? And how strangers try and enter their lives and gain affection instantly. Like, how would they respond in those situations? Like, really try and emulate all that you can glean from a person like this. And what I think is striking about people who have very good, healthy boundaries is they are smart about protecting their energy and their affection. And they are also unapologetic. And so I want you to think of a person like this in your own life. And if you can't think of anyone, use a public figure that you respect and just imagine how they would act in these various dating scenarios. All right, the next tool, third person power. I find this to be a fun exercise. If you are a person who wants to imbue yourself with a higher energetic bar, just know that like whatever we're putting out in the world energetically is what we're getting back. We're getting back people who kind of are the yin to that yang. We are very energy driven beings and we're constantly sending out signals to those around us. So if you feel less than worthy, you are going to get a person who can sense that and knows it because they can see it, they can feel it. So I like to give people this third person exercise when you can basically imagine yourself as a third person, like that you don't know. Imagine yourself in your best outfit, in your most confident, elite setting, whatever that is. And just imagine yourself seeing yourself across the street and see that person as valuable, inaccessible, polished, hard to win. Imagine who that person is. Maybe they don't even speak the same language as you. Imagine who that person is and how cool they are, how precious they are, how important they are. And now like remember that's you. This like visual you have of this other person, they're pretty cool. Like they're pretty badass. That's you. Just channel that energy as you move through your day if you're feeling less than shiny. So those are my tools, and that is the episode. Before I close, I wanted to thank all of those who have left comments on Spotify, on iTunes, on that podcast app. Thank you so much. Really, really helps out the show. And thank you also anyone who has made a donation. Also really helps out the show. If you haven't done either of those things, anything you could do would be super helpful, and I appreciate it. And in closing, it is not enough that somebody really likes you. And it's not enough that you really like them. And it's not enough that they are adoring to you, that they are super nice to you, and that they're interesting and smart and funny. They also have to demonstrate that they are capable of being in a healthy relationship and that they are trustworthy. And they have to do that over time. Trust is won over time. And it doesn't mean you won't get to trust, but that's not something you give away right away. So know that you can have what you want, but you have to know in yourself that you are worth that. Know that you are worth that deep down. And if you don't know that and you want to know that, start there. That is a fun and amazing path to walk, growing your sense of self-love. It's the greatest change that can happen in your life. It's so worthwhile. It's so beautiful. It's like falling in love. Getting to know and heal like any fractured self-love it's like the one of the best times of life. You'll look back on it so fondly. So I invite you just to start there. And always have hope. Energy is everything. And having a clear channel into what you want requires that you have like that purity of energy and that comes with inner shine, inner confidence. So I hope this is helpful to you. If you've been through this experience, I'm so sorry. It's no joke. It's really crippling. So I send you all my love and please smile.